Alright, hello. This is going to be me basically commentating over this entire run of the Spires. As you can see, I'm playing Necrolord. I'm going to play Slick Ice here. Maybe if you watched like my last Spires video, you might have, that was something I mentioned that I probably should have done instead of learning Freezing Winds. And here I'm doing it now. I ended up doing about 19k overall. I probably would have done 20k, but I'm actually going to die during Icy Veins and Deathborn on the first boss, so for entirely my fault. Yeah, I definitely ice-lance a bit too much at the start of this. It's just every time I play Slick Ice coming from anything else, it just feels strange to have such a different priority list, Also, I think the Warlock died, and that's the only reason I'm ahead of him in DPS at the moment, but that's fine. I am going to, of course, be kind of crushing the single target on this entire key, because, I'm playing Slick Ice, so I should re-Ice Veins here, because I did this on like a 22 a few weeks ago, and it was tyrannical and it worked, so just gotta shatter your Count Storm and you're probably fine. At this key level, I wouldn't recommend doing it at any key level. As you can see, I mean, I'm barely gonna, maybe not barely, but I won't be having much time of breather left on my Icy Veins, but when it resets before going on the Angel. There's Spiteful this week, so you probably Icy Veins this on like a 20 or something and still get it back. It was surprising how much Slick Ice did in this key for me. I honestly thought it was going to be worse than Fire, but actually performed really, really well. Though I think in part that's due to the fact that this Rogue and Warlock, it really ended up doing not that much damage. So again, I'm saying that Iceland's there just to ensure that we kill her, because I'd like it to die. Here you can see my prioritization is a lot better. Swapping between Blizzard when I need to, or Rune of Power when I need to, which was pretty bad in the last pull. Probably shouldn't be Blizzarding here, but we're kind of past the point. After all, it's, there's less than 5 targets here. Now here, I got 62% damage off, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the boss a little bit. Our tank is back there soloing some Spitefuls. So that's nice. I should have mirror images though, which was, my bad. If mirror images would have lived, but whatever. I'm still mad that our tank was attacking Spitefuls for some reason, because I wanted those 20 seconds by 70% damage ramp on the boss. Anyway, just greed, so. And I'll be playing this fight without Icy Veins, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I guess it probably won't even come back up this fight, maybe, since is only gonna give me like 30 seconds off it. So yeah, that's one of the biggest failings of Necro though, right? When you don't have chain pulling, when you need chain pulling. I mean, that's just feels pretty much like the ideal situation there. 60% extra spell power, 20 seconds left on it. I can get a lot of damage out there, and then you're just attacking Spiteful. So anyway, it was still my fault. Could have mirrors imaged. I think my current build with trinkets is fine. The only thing I might change is if I had a 278 Soleas, I'd probably run it. Just because my stats are pretty good. I mean, I don't have them showing up on the anywhere here, but I imagine that throwing a verse Soleas might be worth more than my oozes just overall in the general. My ooze generally does like 3% of my damage. So, I mean, more verse to do more AoE might be better. But I think Soleas only gives you about 3% verse, so in reality, are you really gaining anything? Probably not. But you can see how much I have Deathborn available, right? I mean, it's up again. So really making sure you're kind of using that on cooldown is a really big thing for doing good damage as Necrolord, Frost, and Keys. This is part of the problem with ACV or playing Necro Slick Ice with Deathborn is you run into the problem where since you're not Ice Lancing at the end of a pack, your Icy Veins is going to run out since you're not extending it, right? So it only lasts the base 30 seconds. And then the choice is whether you refresh it or can finish your Necrolord without Ice Veins up. But, generally, again, not a problem if you're chain pulling, though. Is the big thing. Accidentally used 2 Arcane Explosions there, so unfortunate. If you're wondering, Arcane Explosion is not important at all to include in the rotation, and Icona Cold for the slow there, so. I would have ideally liked to post some 25s from this week, but fortunately the ones I have done were a little bit scuffed, so I don't really feel like posting them. I mean, I suppose it doesn't really matter. It just feels like there's a lot more of the people and my viewers that are getting to the level of keys that I'm at or doing, which I suppose might make them more relatable, but or at least that's just been my experience. Oh, I honestly forgot we wiped here. Rip Icy Veins, by the way. Hopefully I've been enunciating well enough during this. I'm not entirely sure, but I suppose I'll try and enunciate better for the last half of it. Anyway, as you can tell from, my last video, my guild actually killed Mythic Lords of Dread on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday. So now we're on to Ryglon. No loot from Lords of Dread, which is kind of okay because I already have the shoulders from him from the vault. So now we're going to kill Ryglon, and I am crossing my fingers, hoping for a first kill Antumbra. I mean, that would be like disgustingly lucky, but I'd like to have it. I think that'd be a crazy thing to do, but again, it's all RNG, so it doesn't really matter. I've heard the Jailer is quite a bit of a bitch to do on Mythic though, so I'm not looking forward to that. Honestly, kind of surprised they haven't nerfed him more on Heroic. I've been like Heroic raiding with some friends on an alt Ret Paladin, Holy Paladin mixture, but yeah. I'm not sure if I just flurried in the same target. I think I am, because I just... yeah, I'm not a big fan of target swapping. Not in terms of in this build, just in general as a gameplay mechanic. So, yeah. But it's something you gotta do if you're playing Frost, especially now. Thank God that thing died. We were about to get wrecked. You can see I'm at about 100% spell power right now, right? This is when my Deathborn's ending. You can imagine how much that would be if you had 3 target cleave during a boss fight with Lust, right? Something to funnel that spell power into. So that's, in my opinion, like a really, really crazy strategy that you should be considering the higher you go up with Necrolord Frostmage, if you have control over some of your pulls, is managing that in a way that you can get 3 target cleave on a boss fight. For instance, on the Cartel person in Streets, just leaving that right pack, or the later half of that right pack that I think isn't tied to anyone, or maybe it's the left pack, for you to pull into the boss is pretty crazy. I do have a clip of me doing like I think it was 24 Streets where we did that. We did wipe on the boss, probably partially because I was not moving with I had a 120% spell power buff with my Deathborn. I was like, can someone else do the bombs? And then the Warlock also didn't do bombs, and then we were fucked, so. Bit annoying. But yeah. It was a pug though, so. It is pretty crazy once you realize that the percentage that your Deathborn scales with it is going to be it's basically just spell power, right? So it's like having Rune of Power on crack when you get insanely high spell power. So funny. That was really unfortunate that my tier set proc there, but might take long enough for this to get grouped up that it won't matter. I probably should precast Deathborn here. Oh, I do. Okay, lovely. Like this guy waits for a second just to make sure everyone's like ready. That was nice. I guess, I don't know. Actually, these things look a little bit, but I mean, it looks like the Warlock's doing a lot of damage, so nothing wrong with what he was doing, I suppose. Look how fast they're dying though. God damn. Yeah, so for instance here, he's probably gonna pull a double pack. I got like 10 seconds left on my 80% damage buff, but it's not gonna extend, so. I mean, you can see how much damage I was doing. If I just immediately moved to the next pack, I would have been kind of crushing it, but one of the benefits and weaknesses of Frost, right? If you can't chain pull, then you need to make sure that you get value out of your Necrolord on that singular pack, which is quite hard to do unless you're, continually going into a higher and higher key where the mobs live longer and longer, despite the fact that you also have, disgusting burst classes on your team. It'll be very interesting to see what Frost looks like next expansion, especially since, this probably wasn't the commentary most people were imagining for me talking over a key, because I'm basically talking it like I'm streaming. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see like the place Frost is in next expansion, because generally it's not considered like the go-to spec for Frost or for Mage, right? That's fire is what everyone wants to play, quote unquote, or is always considered the best spec. So without our permanent uptime on Icy Veins, it'll be interesting if we're balanced well enough to actually be, competitive like we have been for the entirety of Shadowlands, as opposed to not competitive. Though I barely played Frost Mage in 8.3, but I think they were not really competitive, but they were like still a quite decent class. You won at Fire Mage. But yeah. Again, when Death's Fathom procs, you basically... Oh, wait. Nope, that was me hacking Necrolord. In hindsight, maybe not the best move with how this tank has been about chain pulling, but... I get 2 procs of Death's Fathom, which is very lucky. You can say, I just say pull, because 30 seconds, 60, 70% damage buff. No less, though, but... I mean, yeah. Yeah, I need something. I need to move my boss frames or something so it's easy for me to target the boss after I target the relics, especially in that scenario where they're moved away from it. I think I may have a small Icy Veins downtime. Yeah. Very small, though. But yeah, look. Oh, and then I do that, yeah. But look at my damage. 100% damage amp. I do lose my 5 chain reaction stacks because I missed that Frozen Orb. It's been a while since I did that. If you do that, by the way, it makes it line up so that every time she Dark Strides, your Frozen Orb is up. So you gotta hold your next one for like a couple seconds. It's kind of annoying. But yeah. Yeah, 26k on a boss without Lust so far. And they're at 40% HP. That's kind of good, isn't it? I do re-Icy Veins here because it's about like a 40-second flight to the next place. So I'm reasonably confident I can get my Icy Veins within probably a minute of being reset, and that's probably enough. So yeah, solid 18k on a boss without Lust. Oh shit, I didn't even notice it's a 10 deaths. It's got scuffed. Now with these skirmishers, the big thing that you want to do is just shatter your Common Storm, right? That's your like highest burst that you can do possible. I did when they weren't all stacked up, so that wasn't the best. Again, I'll probably still have room to Icy Veins here. I don't think I will, actually. I did Flurry before Fingers of Frosting. Not sure what that was about. That's alright. Yes, well, you know, a bit dangerous, as you can see, from where he was tanking the Oh yeah, it looks like they all got hit by it. I don't know if they got stunned or whatnot. When this guy gets up, he'll res the healer. Yeah, this guy is just spamming the fucking res as if the Warlock wasn't a seed. I really should have used my actual Deathborn here. I don't think I do, but you do want to ramp up your stacks. Alright, I ramp it up a little bit early, but yeah, you can see I still have 31 seconds left on this. I don't think I could have activated 30 seconds before, but maybe an additional 15 would have been good to get more spell power into that. It only matters if it's multiplicative and not additive, which I have absolutely no idea of. So, could not matter at all. But it would make it look like I'm doing more damage, probably. Did I say multiplicative instead of additive? I'm not sure. That's what I meant, though. Anyway, got a nice Death's Fathom proc there. And then another one at the very last second. And then another one, also kind of at the last second. Just doing a, you know, casual 20k, 21k on this boss without lust again. Slick Ice is a wonder. I do let my chain reaction stacks fall off there, but not Fingers of Frosting. At the end of my Frostbolt when it came up, I was probably just distracted. I will bet you anything that I was looking at the damage meters. But, yeah. And now we float. I guess I'm saving my Deathborn for the third angel because it's fortified, but also the irony there, the shaman saying less third angel. I know. What can you do? I never mind, did Deathborn. I don't know what I'm talking about. I think most people forget about the 5% spell variance that they introduced in Shadowlands for literally no reason. Just another heap of RNG, which can cause you to do, over 10% less damage than anyone else just because of RNG on literally every spell, which is kind of annoying. Not really a reason for it to exist. I literally never look at the amount of damage my actual spells are doing. But I think that an annoying part of that problem is that since it gets no attention, it's not going to get changed because people really just forgot about it. So it kind of sucks. It's a dumb thing to exist. It's like, it's their way of making I don't know, classical RPG Dungeons and Dragons sentiment, I suppose, for RNG. Well, there's plenty of RNG already, but in my opinion, competitive integrity is something that they haven't really upheld in their game for quite a while, which is irritating. But the main offense that I'm talking about is like externals. It makes some classes feel very unrewarding to play in any raid, right? You go look at the top 50 Fire Mage parses of any raid fight on any difficulty, and it is going to be mostly filled with people getting 3 to 8 externals. And it's like, okay, lovely. That really makes me want to play the class. I'm sure I can do really well and not just play poorly because I'm not getting the 3 externals that everyone else is getting just because they're better on some classes. Not to say that externals are the reason why people play poorly. They're not, right? An external only would raise you 3 to 4 percentile points generally. Also, I ice blocked because you generally want to ice block this debuff when you get to about 10 stacks. It makes you take increased damage and taking damage, and taking both is the reason why this thing's so dangerous. But yeah, it just leads to a frustrating case more than just looking at someone else or comparing yourself to someone else in raid and be like, why did I do worse than them? And it's just, spell variance. Instead of, he got 2 more Brain Freeze procs, which in the long run mean nothing. But if he got 2 more Brain Freeze procs and all of his spells somehow high rolled to do 5% more damage, but when he crits, that's 10% more damage because, you didn't crit or whatnot, that's lovely. Anyway, this is a really good time for Necros Ice here because I get the 3 target cleave on all the relics. Pretty disgusting. You can see I already have 30% spell power in the first 10 seconds of my ramp. I should have blinked into the Abyssal Detonation Ring before using my Rune of Power. I'll just do it late, right? The first time she phases is time-based or 70%. So I'm not going to re-Icy Veins because the time's probably almost up. I'm doing 26k DPS right now though. Kind of disgusting. But yeah, there she is phasing. The next phase though is at 30%, so you're fine to probably double Icy Veins next phase. Yeah, I like to alter grab something and then instantly teleport back, but all the far ones were taken, so only altered a close one. Nothing really to say here. I'm not really fucking up the rotation, so. I'm not going to Icy Veins here because she only has 10% left of her health to phase, right? It's at 8% now, so if I re-Icy Veins, I'm just going to get screwed and not have it for the next phase. In general, I recommend altering that, by the way, just because it does a lot of damage. So it's free healing. It's always a good thing to get used to altering boss abilities that you know are going to hit you very hard. Or just for movement, that too. But ignoring the spell entirely will be, leaving you worse than you could be, for sure. Fleshcraft again, if you're playing Marileth, makes you immune to CC, so you just stand still. It's also kind of helpful in streets during that one boss that does the whirling domination. I think it's like what's it called? Menagerie, yeah, the Menagerie boss. It like pulls you in. It's nice to fleshcraft that as well. And there we have the key. I'm doing 19.3k overall. Would have been nice if I hadn't died in the first boss, or a number of other things hadn't happened. Maybe I would have made it to that 20k mark, but yeah, it's a good key. I made a decent amount of mistakes. You can see my ooze is only 2.6% my damage, so might want to consider getting that Solace trinket for myself.